Hey there, everybody. It's Isaac from Powered by Rock here to bring Evan Bailey from the Sacramento-based rock band Oh Lonesome Ana into the spotlight for a few minutes and make him throw some on-the-spot questions. Welcome, Evan. Are you ready to be put in the spotlight?
Let's do it.
All right. So question number one is there are a lot of bands from California, but not necessarily a lot of famous ones from Sacramento. I know that the Deftones, Cake, and Tesla are notable bands from Sacramento, Tesla being an old band that was known for that. I think it was like a cover of the song Signs. But do you have a favorite band from Sacramento that people may not have heard of other than Oh Lonesome Ana?
Yeah, there's a couple new bands from Sacramento that people should check out. The Snares is a cool band from Sacramento.
Okay.
I dig them. We played with them recently. Ghost Play is a cool band from Sacramento. People should check out. One of our old friends, longtime friends, plays in a band, Bastards of Young, really great Sacramento band. A band Lightweight, a great punk band. There's a lot of bands from, there's a lot of people or bands from Sacramento that move somewhere else that are kind of like secretly from Sacramento, like Chelsea Wolf. People are familiar with Chelsea Wolf. Chelsea Wolf is great, but there's a genre of artists that used to live in Sacramento and then moved to LA or somewhere else. So that also happens. And then they're seen as being from LA, but they're secret Sacramento people.
Yeah, sure.
It's just not as cool to say you're from
that
Sacramento.
Seems to be a kind of a common thread for things in California. Like if you're ever from like just on the outskirts, or like, if you're from like Victorville or something, you're an LA band, not a Victorville band, which is, a good hour away from LA, for example.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there's hundreds of good bands from Sacramento. Especially, just in the time I've been paying attention that I'm aware of, there's so much more than I could ever. It's just weird when you ask a question like that.
Yeah, it's too many. Well, and you obviously were in the band.
When you're on the spot, sometimes your brain just melts.
Yeah,
like I don't
that's
know.
why it's called In the Spotlight.
What is a band?
Yeah.
What bands even exist? I don't know.
Yeah, what's a band? Where am I? Who am I? What's
that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you also were in Sun Valley Gun Club, which is actually very kind of, I would say, in the same genre, same, kind of medium as Oh Lonesome Ana. So if people like Oh Lonesome Ana, they can definitely go check out. It's Sun Valley Gun Club, right? That's the one?
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I listened to it again, but forgot if that was the name or not. But yeah. All right. Question number 2. This one's a totally non-music related one. I just want to see how well versed of an education you have, apparently. As a Sacramento is the capital of California, I figured what better way to put you in the spotlight than to see how well you know your state capitals.
Oh, no.
I'm going to have you guess or answer 6 state capitals. Number 1, your neighbor to the north, Oregon. What's the capital of Oregon?
Olympia?
No, that's why they're in Washington. Olympia's in Washington. I think that's actually
true. I don't even know what state I'm answering the question for.
Oregon.
Let's see. I have no idea.
Yeah, so that's Salem, Oregon.
Failure.
Nevada, your neighbor to the east.
Carson City, is that right?
That's one's ding, ding, ding. You got that one, right?
Got it. Okay, cool.
All right. Tennessee.
No idea. No clue.
All right. That's Nashville, Music City, one of the music cities of America. How about Connecticut?
And I've spent time in Connecticut. I have no idea. No clue.
Hartford, the home of the Whalers, the hockey team.
Okay, Hartford, got it.
South Dakota. That's 5, by the way. This is number 5. South Dakota. I didn't pick the easiest ones, obviously. Some of these are pretty obscure for states.
No clue.
All right, so that's Pierre, or Pierre, as some people say, but it's Pierre, South Dakota. Mm-hmm. And then Kentucky is the last one. You know Kentucky state capital? This one usually probably stumps most people.
If it's stumping most people, I'm not getting it. My state capital, I have not boned up on state capitals in quite some time.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
sure that my answer to this question is
So the only state capital to you that matters is Sacramento, but the
That's
answer
right.
to Kentucky is Frankfurt. Frankfurt is the capital of Kentucky.
I no, would have never gotten that. That's way back in the recesses somewhere. Yeah.
All right. So apparently
That
you're
was
not
a
keeping up with
F
your
for
U.S.
sure.
geography. That's okay.
Yeah, that's an F. Terrible.
1 out of 6 ain't bad. That's a meatloaf song, right?
Wow. The terrible score. Yeah.
All right. So question number 3 is music related. You should know the answer to these, but they're going to be a little bit harder. So it's a 2-part question. What is your favorite rock album of all time? And what's your favorite rock band of all time? If you could possibly narrow it down to one.
Oh yeah, that's an easy question compared to the state capitals. Rock album of all time. I really did not used to like Pink Floyd at all, but Dark Side of the Moon is kind of like, at least right now, maybe my favorite rock album of all time. Abbey Road is up there.
Okay.
Yeah, those two are really, really strong. Favorite rock band.
And while you think, I'll just mention that of my favorite rock album of all time is The Wall by Pink Floyd, and my favorite Beatles album is the White Album. So we're kind of in the same neck of the woods there.
I've been thinking about Pavement a lot. I feel like Pavement is sort of I think they're coming around to getting more credit, but I'm gonna say Pavement right now. I think Pavement is more influential to younger bands than like any of the grunge era rock acts of the 90s. They're the thing that they did is really still kind of like influencing people to this day. I think that I'm gonna say Pavement.
Okay. An interesting story about Pavement is I actually just went back recently, like randomly, like 2 weeks ago, because I remember I saw something about Pavement. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about those guys. And I remember back in the 90s, there was like a top bands of the 90s, like most influential bands of the 90s. And like Metallica was number 6 and Pavement was number 5. And I was like, who the fuck is Pavement? I'd never heard of him at the time. I was like a junior in high school and I'd never heard of him. I was like, how is that possible? Like, I was not a big Metallica fan, but everybody knows Metallica. I'm like, how are these guys, some indie rock band, more influential than Metallica? But now that I know who they are and I've known them for like 20 years, I'm like, they weren't actually wrong, but I do think Metallica is still probably more influential than Pavement in that regard, just because of the mass amount of people that they kind of influence. But I still think that was a high ranking for Rolling Stone to give them. It was something like 6 and 5 or 5 and 4, something like that. And I was like blown away by it, but it makes a lot more sense when you start, especially when you become an adult. Like, go back and listen to Pavement now and you'll be blown away by how good they actually are.
I mean, I think Nirvana was seen probably at the time as being like super the hallmark of the particular era. But I honestly don't hear a lot of. There were bands that tried to sound like Nirvana, Puddle of Mud, and bands like this, and that branch of the genre tree died out. Like, it's not. It didn't go in a good place. So I think Pavement has proven themselves to have like some sort of longevity. Like Metallica has branding, but what, aside from just like inspiring some sort of generic metal interest, like their sound hasn't really moved any kind of needle anywhere. That's what I would say about Metallica.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that there's a resurgence or a everlasting kind of metal influence that's going to be as big or kind of as influential as like, what it used to be. Like maybe in the 90s, sure, but now it's like it's not really that influential, I would say, as it was.
Their branding is spectacular. Incredible branding. But
whatever. All right, so I don't know, are you a movie buff? Do you like watching movies at all?
Oh yeah, I mean, here and there.
Okay,
but let's do it.
You've seen a couple movies in your day.
I've seen movies.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I'm not sure why, but when I listen to your album, I'm often reminded of the movie Sling Blade. Are you familiar with the movie Sling Blade with Billy Bob Thornton? It's been a long time since I've seen Sling Blade, but I have seen it. Yeah. Okay. So obviously it's a movie about Billy Bob Thornton playing kind of a mentally challenged adult because of years of abuse from his dad, who is now basically kind of being best friends with a kid who has a really shitty stepdad. And that's a lot like the lyrics on the album for Megadeth T, by the way. Just wanted to kind of show this here. Megadeth T.
Oh,
There you go. It's in the frame and everything. I just haven't got it on the wall yet because I have to actually get something to hang it on. But there it is, Megadeth T. So knowing that kind of reminds me of Sling Blade and those kind of lyrics kind of sit in there, just out of curiosity, what's the best Billy Bob movie? Taking the question in a different direction.
I'd have to pull up Billy Bob Thornton's IMDb or something, because off the top of my head, I have no idea any movies. Right now, you're asking me this question. I have no clue who Billy Bob Thornton is. Or any, you're like, what is
easier on say, yeah, sure, Sling Blade. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, it's totally Sling Blade.
All right, well, that answer is wrong. It's actually Bad Santa, not the second one. That one was.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Bad Santa is clearly with the Coen brothers. Is clearly
Bad
the best.
Santa. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one?
Movie? Yeah, I've seen it. What other movies has Billy Bob Thornton in? Seriously,
I don't know. I think he was in like Iceman or what it was called, like the Ice Killer or something, where he's like a hitman or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember them all, but he's been in a ton of movies. He's been in like weird ones too, but he's in a lot of like TV shows now, so he hasn't been doing so many movies. I think he was in Friday Night Lights. I think that was the movie.
Gray Man.
Yeah, there you go. On the IMDb.
Fargo TV show.
Yeah, I was gonna say Fargo, but it was the TV show, not the movie.
I don't know. One of those people that just doesn't stop working.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like a huge fan of Billy Bob Thornton, so.
Well, that's why I like to throw some curveballs out there and make you just kind of break your brain.
These are brain breakers. Yeah, the state capitals thing was a really, of all the questions I thought you were going to ask, state capitals was not high on the list of things I prepped for.
Yeah, and normally I throw like a food question in here, but I didn't do that for you because
that would have been good. Yeah, I love food. Food's great.
All right. Question number 5, last on the list. If you could change one thing about California, what would it be?
I think the Silicon Valley, the influence of Silicon Valley is like, it's brought into Northern California, which is, I'm mostly familiar with Northern California.
Sure.
I think it's brought a lot of wealth, which I think in some ways is good, but in some ways, like the rent, the affordability of the Bay Area, just in general,
for sure,
has gone. Just like it's really, really difficult to afford to live in the Bay Area now.
Yeah, and
I think that there's a lot of displacement happening as more and more money kind of like floods into even Sacramento now. A lot of tech is starting up in Sacramento. So I don't know if it was in, I don't know.
So you kind of want to reverse the gentrification.
Salem, like say, if Silicon Valley was actually in Salem, Oregon? In Salem, Oregon, that
or Frankfort, Kentucky.
That wouldn't be so bad, I don't think. It's good in a lot of ways. It provides jobs, provides stability, but it also is just kind of destabilized that whole area a little bit.
Yeah.
So
and one of the things I was very fond of studying in college when I was 100 years ago when I was in college was geopolitics of gentrification, right? So what happens when rich companies come in and kind of dress up downtown areas and basically kick out everybody that's currently living there, and how that turns, because everybody always talks about wanting to get rid of like ghettos in the cities, which then when they do, like basically just abandons the entire existence of any sort of culture, any sort of kind of community of the people living there. So it's very strange because they've never really found a way to not only make a downtown area nice, but not be able to displace everybody that lives there, because obviously when they make it nice, then people want to start putting businesses and start, putting up skyscrapers or whatever. And It's just
Yeah,
a
and then the
problem.
question is like, what is nice? Is nice like a TGA Fridays? Because
Yeah,
if
exactly.
that's the case, like I don't think that's nice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's upper white
it's
trash right there.
sterilized
Yeah, for
is
sure.
a lot of times what stuff becomes. It's not, you know, necessarily. It's not like it's better or anything. It's just sterilized and more
Yeah.
policed.
Yeah, it's corporate basically.
Yeah, more corporate. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, cool. So let's decorporatize California. I would just say get rid of all the traffic. Find a way to get rid of traffic, and I'd actually be okay to like visit California every so often, because I fucking hate driving in California.
I mean, I would like to say it's different in Northern California, but if I'm going to if I'm going to Oakland on a Saturday or Sunday, there's a car accident.
Yeah,
It's not
just
like
turn
the East
around.
Coast. Yeah, it's taken me. So it should take about an hour and a half or to 2 hours to get from, say, like, if you were just driving the whole way, just nonstop, I think it was probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get from San Jose to Sacramento, and it's taken me. One time it took 4 hours.
Yeah,
So it's just like if something goes wrong, it's
yeah,
not good. But
yeah.
I know LA, Southern California is even worse. So
Yeah. I mean, you could literally take an hour to go 10 miles, which is maddening.
yeah,
It'll drive you nuts.
Sacramento not so bad, but when you start going out of Sacramento into anywhere else, unless it's more like you're trying to go somewhere like rural or you go into Reno or something, even then, still it's a lot of traffic all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Evan. I want to say thank you for stepping in the spotlight. I feel like maybe you almost had a heart attack, brain, like
It's totally
an
true.
aneurysm or something, but it's okay. We made it through.
The state capitals thing, really good work.
I'm hoping that you're not like a teacher for like a day job or something,
No,
and you're especially like a ninth grade social studies teacher.
No, not at all. No.
You're like, oh crap.
No.
Good.
I don't think anybody is looking to me for guidance on geography. So,
all right. Well, I do want to thank you again. And guys, if you haven't checked out, again, I'll show the album here, the Megadeth T album by Oh Lonesome Ana. Ooh, we get it in frame there. Go check it out. Make sure to go to the show notes below this episode for all the links to the music, and obviously follow them. Watch the music videos, everything else, because I'm telling you, this is one of the best indie rock albums of the year. It's one of my absolute favorite albums that I've listened to in probably 3 or 4 years. So go make sure to check it out. And if you obviously want to follow them on social media, go ahead and do that as well. Check them out for any tours or any shows that might be coming up in the near future. But until then, guys, we'll see you soon for the very next episode of In the Spotlight. Evan, again, I want to thank you so much, and we'll speak soon. But until then, rock on.
Thanks so much, Isaac.